better. Good morning.
Exactly. Good
I,
morning. I'm so happy we're chatting.
I know I have you in my contacts. I just realized as Jordan Dash Daddy Hunt.
Perfect. That's how I'm known on the internet these days. I coined Daddyhunt Jordan as kind of like the adjective to present my name, but that
Right,
works too.
you're gonna be spotted at a bar. They're gonna be like, "Is that Daddy Hunt Jordan? Is that Daddy Hunt Jordan?"
Yeah.
You go talk to him. No, you go talk to him.
That's obviously what I'm hoping for, and I'm hoping it's daddies who are the ones doing that. But good note on that. So today's Thursday, July 24th. This weekend in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, one of the bars there is hosting a Daddy Weekend that will be sponsored by Daddy Hunt, and I will be there as Daddy Hunt Jordan representing the brand. So
They can come track you
should
down.
be
Wait,
fun.
say that one more time. Like it's in Rehoboth Beach, and is what day is
Rehoboth,
it?
but it's this weekend, so I don't
Okay,
know
this weekend.
if we'll be up in time.
I'm gonna
But
whip
yeah,
this
this
out today. I'm gonna whip it out today. You heard
and
it
that's
here.
it. If you heard it here, today's July 24th. This weekend, July 25th to 27th, in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, at Aqua Bar and Grill, which is one of the large gay bars in town. That always puts on great events. I was a DC native for years, and Aqua was our place for pretty
Oh,
much all
okay.
summer holidays. So they're doing a Daddy Weekend this weekend, which is a weekend for daddies and daddies who like daddies and boys who like
Right,
daddies and
right.
or people who just appreciate it. And it'll be sponsored by Daddy Hunt. We'll have Daddy Hunt giveaways, Daddy Hunt merch. And then they're going on Sunday, they're hosting their first ever Mr. Rehoboth Beach Daddy contest. Mr. Daddy of
Nice.
Rehoboth Beach, syntax, whatever you want with that.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure, sure.
And well, it's gonna be great. And they're gonna have a sash for the winner, and then they're gonna make it a thing. It's gonna be really fun. It's like
That's
taking all the like pomp and circumstance of the leather community, which I love and appreciate,
sure.
but just for daddies.
That sounds fun. That's like a part of the world, like between I'm in California, I grew up in New York, but like that's a part of the world I've never spent any time with, and I don't have like a lot of personal memories with. So I'm looking forward to like just seeing like I don't know some of the stuff that comes out. I don't go to a lot of events anymore just because I'm like busy and I have a limited amount of energy, I feel. But I love like after Bear Week this week, like a lot of photographers posted my week in Bear Week. And so I just love
Mhm.
going through like an album of photos of like the event and just trying to find friends and stuff like that. And so I don't have a familiarity with that area, but I'm looking forward to like people's posts coming out about that or pictures or
Yeah. Yeah, Rehoboth Beach, it pulls a lot from Philly, Baltimore, and DC would be like the main cities. But I feel like a lot of the times guys in those cities will go to like the Jersey Shore, Asbury
yeah.
Park has a gay scene, or at that point you just go up to New York and Fire Island, or you take a bigger trip. So Rehoboth Beach is driving distance to all those cities. I'd say it's like pretty low key and quaint compared to what you'd expect in P
Mhm.
Town. But there's three really strong gay bars that I started really going there during COVID because I was local, because I was an easy
Right.
drive to get out of the city during then. But actually started going there as a kid, so I have a whole history with Rehoboth. I
Oh,
think like
nice.
my first memory of being like, oh, that's what gay people are was when I was
Right.
like probably 11 or 12 there. We would like rent a condo for the weeks, like before Airbnb was probably through some like rental agency. And one of the years, it was definitely a gay couple, and I definitely like my brain was processing the photos, and like my parents were fine, like they were completely just like didn't even really bring it up, but I was like,
Right.
that's what this
Oh,
is.
shit.
Okay, Rehoboth must be, and I kind of was like doing all the math in my head.
That's funny because I remember stories like that. I grew up in like a pretty liberal town in upstate New York, and then there
Hmm.
was even back in the 90s, there was ACT UP was a big part of the community because there's a university town. So I was always around like very outwardly proud gay people, but as a child, like you saw that, and I was like, that's what gay people are, and I feel like that's what I am. But there was so many mixed feelings because I also came up from a family that like used gay slurs all the time, like faggot. No, they would poke fun at me sometimes about if I had a girlfriend. Oh, what are you
Hmm.
gay? So I saw these outwardly gay people, and it was so exciting, but also so scary. I was like, oh my
Sure.
God, holy shit. Like, but I was obsessed. I was like, I didn't want people to like catch me looking at them too long or I don't know. I feel like I probably even threw out some like queer bashing words because I was wanted to be like, like if I wanted my family to approve of me. So I probably even like
Yeah.
threw out some like gay slurs at them too, just to be like, yeah, faggots. And I'm like, God,
Right. Like
I
just
am
to fit in.
yeah. So what is your title at Daddy Hunt?
Yeah, totally. I'll give my whole background with it.
Yeah.
So then it goes back a while. So About a decade ago, Daddy Hunt had what they call the serial, which was a mini series. It was
Uh-huh.
starring Jim Newman, who's now kind of become one of the faces of Daddy Hunt.
I've
And
never
it
met Jim, but I
was,
want to.
everyone does. Jim's the best.
Call me.
Jim's, yeah. Yes. And just as daddy as ever today. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a mini series about an older guy and a younger guy meeting on Daddy Hunt, essentially, which for those of you who don't know, Daddy Hunt is an app designed for daddies, guys who like daddies, daddies who like daddies, young guys who like daddies, to build a community of everyone where it's kind of centered around daddies of it all.
I even like daddy atmosphere. Like I was just thinking about daddy who's like daddies, daddy chasers. But then I like maybe there's people that aren't either of those, but they just like to be in
Uh,
the positive daddy energy that's in the
yes.
atmosphere.
Yes. And that's really well said
And no,
because
I'm not
something.
stoned. And no, I'm not stoned.
No, but there's something about something I hear about the app, and this kind of goes back to like our founding principles really is the app is a quote unquote nice place to be. You know, you generally find that people are interested in engaging with you, whether it's just to have a conversation. It's not always about the hookup or the date or the relationship. That things can lead to that, sure. But there is a sort of communal tone and engagement with the app. There's also something called the Daddy Hunt Code, which is like a
Oh,
set of bylaws basically
I did not know
that
this.
all users agree to when they make their profile. And it's basically about respect, being polite to other people, and some of the stuff you see on other apps that people can get really nasty and very judgmental and very quick to criticize and block with, the general tone is that by agreeing to the Daddy Hunt code that you are joining this community that's very open. So with all that being said, so
Sure. That's
10
hard to
years
police
ago,
though. That's
parts
I
of all,
mean,
yeah.
this is a weird word to use, but it's hard to sort of I like the standards and set and people agree to it, but I just
Yeah,
curious like how you kind of like crack down on
sure.
that or how you
I would
sort
say
of
like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I would say like when, let's say you have a bad experience with someone and you report them for being rude, which is, totally something that you can do on apps. The code is a way for us to say to that other user, like, hey,
uh
you broke the code. We're going to either, put a flag on your profile or, if there's certain offenses,
yeah.
then ban your profile, stuff like that. So it grounds it in, yes, like, I mean, all apps obviously have some sort of policies, but this is like a very publicly facing agreement that like users buy into when joining the app. Yeah.
I love that. It's like play nice or there's going to be consequences. You learn that in
Yeah.
kindergarten. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Like what
Cool.
a concept, right? So
Cool.
Daddy
Cool.
Hunt was a website for years going back into like the mid 2000s, kind of around like the manhunt time as a daddy alternative to that
Manhunt
world.
is where I met my husband. True
Look at
story.
that.
Yeah.
I mean I feel like those I like was just at the tail end of like the web
Ah,
based. So I like grew up at the tail end of the web based chat room world, but I could imagine that was thriving in its own ways and didn't have the same like probably location specificity
and
of
it
the
was more
apps,
it
but
was like not quite you didn't really carry it around on your phone too. Like it was also when I met my husband, it was
sure.
like I remember being logged on my laptop. So that was the
Right.
difference as well.
What a concept. Well, so Daddy Hunt came around then. There still is a web-based version that is, I say, very rarely used. And moved to an app probably like 13 years ago at this point. When all the other apps came on the scene. So there was a mini series about 10 years ago about an older guy and a younger guy meeting on Daddy Hunt. It took place in New York City, and I was 18, 19 at the time.
Oh,
I knew I
baby.
liked daddies because I had the internet to kind of inform me what I like before I had to even go out and get it, which I'm very grateful for. That I was at a nice sweet spot of like the internet was simple, but I also was able to like learn enough about the world out
Yeah.
there that
You
I
saw
that I
like a
kind of knew. Yeah, I had like I
you
don't know,
saw
like
a
my
retro
celebrity.
picture of like Tom Selleck because you're a baby. So it's probably like a retro picture. And you're
Yeah,
like, something about this picture I really like. I want to go swimming and I want to comb his hair.
or it was just like John Hamm on Mad Men was like the actor of the day, and I was like, perfect. I know what I like. This is done. Like I'm my life's
Nice.
been kind of set for me at this point. So anyway, so the miniseries comes out. I thought it was so clever and it painted this relationship, which like I only saw in media at this point, basically, but as something that was genuinely like cool and hot and fun And I was like, who did this? Like, whoever made this miniseries, like, I need to at least learn more about what
Right.
this is. And in addition to obviously the app existing, I got to know the guys behind Daddy Hunt more or less. The main of which is Carl, who's still the CEO. He's been in charge of the app for forever. And I met him that year.
I
Yeah,
think I interviewed Carl. I did interview Carl.
probably around, was it like 10 years ago?
It was when they were one of the sponsors for the tour. I have to go
Okay.
back. My whole entire YouTube channel was
Drop a
deleted.
drop a clip of Carl in here. He's gonna be like, "Where did you find this of me?"
I
But
have to go
yeah,
find it, but I know I did interview Carl now that I think about it because,
okay,
and I
yeah,
wasn't sure he was still like the king of the castle. So,
oh yeah,
okay, I'm
yeah.
sorry. You
So
were
right,
saying,
so yeah, I've known Carl for a decade now, and I helped out the app in some marketing, some operations. This was when I was an undergrad, and then went on and stayed friendly, but kind of found a quote unquote normal job in corporate America and did that for years and loved parts of it. And then as I felt that kind of waning for a few different reasons, was able to reach back out to Carl and say, hey, like now is a good time for me to end up back at Daddy Hunt if there's an opportunity for it.
right?
And
Like, come
exactly,
on.
it felt very comfortable, and I could talk about daddies all day. Do I have a extensive background in marketing? No, but do I know daddies really well? Yeah, like I used that decade to learn a
I
lot about
also,
it. And
my mind is like goes all over the place. I'm listening, but like when you said you
yeah,
were in like corporate America, I was just thinking, I bet you look so cute in a suit. I love a
I did.
scruffy. I love
Okay,
a
well,
scruffy guy in like a suit because he's all like bad boy wrapped up into this like nice package. And you're like, oh god, I just want to like unwrap that package. But I bet you looked really cute in a suit.
well, thank you. But yes, my corporate America life was in DC, which was
Okay,
like it's just like the last bastion of suit culture. Like I
so
was wearing
yeah,
a suit 4 days a week, so that was yeah,
I'm gonna
up until a year ago.
dig
So
for those.
maybe we can find a photo of that
Yeah.
too.
Okay, so you came home
Yes.
or
Came home
full
and
circle.
there's some really amazing so there's written people mostly based in Australia, Southeast Asia, that are really managing the whole back end of Daddy Hunt. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
like improving the app, improving the user experience, improving moderation, photo approvals, the real core stuff that makes an app function well. And then where I come in is trying to build this community. So like we're making these major improvements to how the app works and how the average user experience can really just be improved regardless of if you have a premium membership or not. But then okay, now we have to get the right group of people on this app, and I've always really like I personally have tried to like over make I try to make Daddy Hunt maybe too much of a niche at points of like no, like
Right.
it's really for like my ideal picture of a daddy, which is not everyone's, and their ideal picture of a younger guy, which is totally has all this variance. And in the decade I took off from working on it and more just living in it, it's like, like really anyone can be a daddy. Like I have friends my age who are in their late 20s, early 30s who are a daddy to 22-year-olds, and like it works great. And like that's totally what it is.
Yeah.
And then there's also older guys who still want a daddy. If you're 50 versus 60, then the relationship, like there's still some sort of dynamic there if you still want that. And then also like the meaning of that varies with pretty much everyone you talk to. And obviously like the average person I think just goes right to sugar daddy, which Daddy Hunt
Or
does not
like
support
daddy
on the
being
app.
more like an age, not an age gap, but like age disparity. Like there's younger attracted to an older daddy, and
Right.
daddy being referred to as someone that's older,
Exactly.
like
And
simplified.
that's to simplify it, yes, that's what it is. But then when people think about it, they immediately go to like financial, which I totally understand. And that's
Yeah.
obviously the case
Well, I think it's
for a
from like
lot
sugar
of
mama, sugar daddy. That's just the whole thing, like spans like even like the heterosexual community.
exactly, yeah. And Daddy Hunt is not an app for that. If it happens, it's like technically not supposed to be within the purview of the app.
That
But
shit could
there,
happen on
there's
Instagram or Facebook. Yeah.
or like seeking arrangements is made for this. Like there are apps for that.
Arrangements.
Daddy Hunt is not meant to be that facilitator. It's really meant for guys who are genuinely attracted to older guys, daddy types, and there's also like a million different types of daddies that I don't really feel like I need to roll
No,
through in
it's
this
okay. Some of my
conversation,
questions
but
also were like, it almost
yeah.
is like beating a dead horse in a certain way. Cause some of my questions are like that when we first started talking a couple weeks ago, I was like, just the difference between like daddy and dad. In my mind,
Yeah.
I see very different explanations or definitions of daddy versus dad. And I'm obnoxious sometimes, and I just post things on Facebook or Instagram just because I want people to either get mad at me or just have something to say. Because I feel like I am more attracted to dad than daddy. Like daddy,
Yeah.
because in a sort of way, like daddy, I feel like is more like the alpha, dominant, more like these are my definitions:
Yes, totally.
aggressive, taking charge, dad. And dad to me is like this like nurturing guy. Like I want to see this like dad, literal dad bod, not a muscle Instagram dad bod, but a dad
Hmm.
bod and like socks and Birkenstocks with like a baby on his backpack, like
Right.
walking a dog, and like very like responsible and like nerdy. And to me, that's like, oh, dad, he's holding the family together. That's so sexy to me. And so,
Tot- Yes,
anyways,
that
I'm
is
odd to begin with, but that's daddy versus dad to me. There's such different
yes.
concepts. And
Yeah. Well, I even think like it's become a mainstream conversation. Like people, straight people too, are talking about like I don't know. All I see when I go on is like Pedro Pascal is the daddy of the moment,
right,
which like he is, but like it's also kind of taken on a life of its own of like people are using the word daddy in all different types of contexts, and like I'm trying to be like it's fine. Like you know what? More people talking about daddy, a good thing, I guess. But
yeah,
in yours, in what you said, like, yes, I see it as like there's also you have to think about like sexual versus emotional versus
right. Is there
romantic versus
top
relationship.
bottom?
It all kind of
I
like
feel like
comes into play.
some people, I don't agree with this, would think like daddy's top, boys bottom, just because the dominant power. I don't agree with that, but I could see like in some realms of the world, it's like I'm gonna daddy you, which also could translate to
Yeah,
I'm gonna top you. Yeah, this is
yeah,
my tough posture. Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, like,
Jordan,
and
my eyes are
yeah,
up
and that's
here. My
generally.
eyes
I
are
mean,
up
that is
here,
generally.
Jordan.
Was that?
No, I was like, my eyes are up here, Jordan.
Yes, that would be like something that I would get excited about. But like, yes, I'd say generally, if you're like thinking in a dichotomy, like, daddy is the top dominant, demanding
In
leader,
charge.
and the boy is the follower, submissive, and that I think a lot of it goes back to leather community, which like
Mm-hmm.
I want to paint all of this with like the leather community is thriving and like a really great part, I think, of the LGBT community in
For sure.
general, but it's kind of its own world and has a lot of, and in my experience, I'm like, oh, there's like a lot of definitions and like a lot of roles, and that's really great. But then like the daddy world, at least in the way that Daddy Hunt's presenting it generally, is a little bit more fluid of yes, the daddy does not always have to be the top, the boy does not always have to be the bottom. There's a
Yeah,
lot more like creativity you can have with it, which is great as well, and
sure.
allows a lot more people to probably enter the fold, and like and also be it's becoming a little bit cooler to talk about it. But then even more so, I think, and this is something I'm really excited about, is I'm finding that younger guys are getting more open to dating, hooking up with, being interested in older guys. I say like this was probably always the case. Like I hear stories
Sure.
from men who are 30 years older than me who said, "Oh, when I was younger, I was also, hooking up with guys 3 years older than me." But now I think it's becoming a little bit more of an open conversation where like before, I feel like when I first came out, which is
Hmm.
10 years ago, I feel like guys would go home with older guys, but it would be kind of like a secret, or
Hush,
like,
hush.
oh,
Yeah.
you didn't see me do that, or like, oh, I loved it, but like I wouldn't date them for whatever reason, or like, oh, like if they message me on an app, sure, but like I'm not gonna message them first or whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just me just existing in my own spheres, but like the narrative's changing a bit where like no, like older guys are hot, gay older men take great
Right.
care of themselves. There's all different types of daddies. Like I like you, the dad figure, the like dad next door, suburban, responsible dad. That's like super attractive to
And they
me.
can be
In
both too. They can be dad and daddy. That's the
yes,
thing. So it's
exactly.
like everything is nothing and nothing is everything. It's just like this weird circle of like, yeah. Do you
Yeah.
feel,
So
hey, you feel
yeah,
responsibility as like this media guy for Daddy Hunt? Like you have the world daddies on your shoulders almost. Like
yeah.
I just imagine you with like daddies stacked around your shoulders, like straddling you. Like
That only happens sometimes.
that was Saturday. I didn't think we were going to talk about it.
But okay, yeah, but like in a way, yes. And like I want to bring together a community of like younger guys who you may not know if you're into daddies. You may just have this like fantasy or fascination, or maybe you like went home with a 50-year-old from a bar once and it was a really great experience and you want to try it
Yeah.
again. Like, there's really is it trying to build a community that's like that. And then for older guys, like I am a big proponent of like I don't like when people turn 30 or 40, and especially the gay community of like, my life's over, like no
Like,
one's ever gonna
yeah.
like me again. And
All
I'm like,
downhill from here.
which like I'm like, there's like so many things at play, obviously, in different people's lives and responsibilities, whatever. But like in general, in from where I'm sitting, I see the people older than me having more and more fun every year. I'd say generally LGBT spaces cater to all ages. There are obviously some things that are specifically for younger guys or specifically for older guys, but like in large, at the average gay bar in your average city, there's generally going to be everyone from 21 to 70 in the bar.
Yeah.
We're listening to the same music. We go to the same places. We are able to stay relevant because we're not burdened by a lot of the constraints of straight culture. And by having that, like I can get along with someone who's 21, I can get along with someone who's 65 because we're generally probably doing a lot of the same
Yeah.
things. And looks wise, like, not everyone's type. I don't really like 21-year-olds
Yeah.
personally, like the date.
Well,
So everyone likes who they like. I get that. But like, there is so much more potential for especially gay men as we age to be able to find new communities as we go and still feel like we can do at our own paces and whatever's, age appropriate in a way. But there's still so much opportunity to be fun, take care of yourselves, and actually still continue to like get excited about the next decade, wherever that may be.
yeah, and it's also like I've seen some of the people you've interviewed for your podcast, and like I think it's great to show elderly. I don't like to be called elderly. I'm
Older,
53.
older.
Older. I know that I've talked about that in podcasts before. Like, what do people want to be called? Like LGBT elders, seniors.
Right.
But it's great featuring and spotlighting men. I've seen you on your podcast, like who are either have done cool stuff when they were younger, but also still doing cool stuff, and also looking forward to the future of doing more cool stuff. Because it's nice for people my age, younger, even kids that haven't come out, to see older people doing cool stuff, still
Yeah.
thriving, still healthy, still feeling positive, still feeling sexy. That's a lot of the times that I want to interview guys on the podcast, just because I think there's a lot of gay men who are doing really cool stuff. Some of it is porn, which is great because then it shows people like you can have like a vitality and sexual prowess when you're older, because people are afraid of that.
Daddy porn Twitter is thriving. Like,
Well,
these men have hundreds of thousands of followers.
I have
and
friends who like today are like turning into their corporate worlds for porn. People we've sort of maybe chatted about, and like they've made the decision. Because I know porn back in the day, there was a time that like people were like, oh, there was like a stigma attached to porn. But now I feel like porn has become this thing, like you're taking control of your image, your income at some point, and like just being proud of it and like promoting yourself online, where before it was like, oh, I did porn, but it's only on VHS tapes. No one's ever going to see it. But now people are like really proud of it. This is what I'm doing. I'm also not 20, not 30, not 40. And so when we interview people and talk to people that are doing these things, I think it's great for people to see. Either people my age, 53, like a lot of times I feel people that I've seen like, oh man, I'm old. That's like this horrible thing. But like, I like flipping that around and being like, you have a lot of living to do. And like, let's show the kids that we're still living. I don't know.
Yes, exactly. No, that's exactly it. That's exactly
also,
it. Or like
I was just going to say, two, this is like, I have a very complex growing up, but I have always been into older men. I love men in general, but I've always been attracted to older men. When this is going to be not even a full story, when I was in high school, when I was 17, for a whole summer, I dated this professor who had a house on the lake. So all summer, I had this like secret affair with this man, and I was underage, but it was consensual. We just drank gin and tonics and hung out at the lake and fucked all summer. And he was like 45 at the time, which seemed old, but now it doesn't seem so old. Relatively. So that's one story that I've always been an older man. And I lived in Waikiki once, and I remember I hooked up with this older man. It was just an encounter. It wasn't like an affair. And I've always shared this story because people like, if they, hey, how old's the oldest person you've ever hooked up with? And when I was living in Hawaii, this was probably like 15 years ago, I hooked up with this guy who was like 72. And I've told that to people, and they just laughed and, oh my God, you're crazy. And it was so hot. So those are my just stories of saying like, I've always sort of been attracted to older men. And this older guy was visiting from Australia and had a body that I've never even had myself, just incredible vitality and hot. Anyway, so I've always been interested in older men. And now that I'm older man, I still am interested in older
Yeah.
men.
And I don't think you're alone in that. Like, I think that is just like
Daddy on
there's
daddy.
yeah. And right. And for me, like, especially when I was coming out, like it was almost really comforting to be around someone who I felt like knew the ropes and also knew like relationships. Like I feel like I was in general treated really well in my first few relationships because I was dealing with people who have like either been in long-term relationships before or have just like had more life experience than me. And I think like the common response to that in a critical way would be people saying, oh well, like you can get taken advantage of. I said, well, I can get taken advantage of
Mm,
by a 22-year-old also. Like I like feel a little bit more secure in dating, let's say like a 45-year-old. Okay, I trust them to have my better
yeah.
interests than maybe someone my age in a lot of ways, in addition to being physically attracted to the person, in addition to like these people are really interesting. Like I enjoy like
They
my
have
time
history.
conversationally, like I'm sure you did in your lakeside affair. Like
Holy shit! I should write like a novel about that summer. It
yeah.
was beautiful.
So he was very smart.
I didn't have a license. I just got on my little bike. Parents didn't know a thing. Got on my little bike, rode out to the lake, and freaking had this whole beautiful summer of like gin and tonics. I just keep thinking gin and tonics and screwing this hot dad that was a professor. And then end of the day, my parents were very lax with rules. And so like I didn't have to roll in any time. And then I just come home and like play brother to my little sister and be like, I'm going to go to my bedroom and listen to
Hmm.
punk rock music and be a teenager. But then tomorrow I'm going back to that fucking lake house.
Yeah. I love that. I love that for you.
I wish I could find that guy. I don't know. It
Yeah.
was such like a before social media internet. It's not just like, hey, follow me on Instagram.
No,
It was
right,
just
right.
like, see you next summer, I hope.
Yeah,
And he drove a
hopefully.
blue Saab. I remember his car
That's so
was this
specific.
blue Saab. Yeah, I remember it. It was this blue Saab. It was so naughty and such a secret. The part of the secret, I think, was maybe part of the turn on. But
Well, that and right, and that's like I think. Well, and that also I think brings gay men together, or just all LGBT people together in that way of like you at some point probably have had a double life. Like you either
always,
whether you were coming out, and there's plenty of older guys I know who came out later in life and that maybe had a double life for decades, or even someone like me who had a double life for like I'd say like 2 years, like into high school,
yeah,
early college, like and it was but it was still something that like totally was part of my formation. So we all kind of have that bond with each other of like we all went through this in maybe different ways, but it is some sort of unifying factor between different ages and generations. And then also like the amount I learn about older people's experience coming out, or even just like being gay in the 90s and the 80s, especially, there is so much. It's not, yes, there's like a sort of like respect tone that I think a lot of these conversations carry, but even just more like fascinating stories and almost makes
sure.
me want to think about, oh, how should I design my social life or my friends or my experiences, just based on hearing about people who have done it already and did it at a time where it was more challenging for a myriad of reasons.
You're like, hey, we did this coming from an elder person. We did this so you could do that. Like, we did this so you don't have to die walking down the street holding on hands with somebody or,
Yeah, right,
going into a dark basement. Oh, I mean, which is sexy too. Dark basement with like a password at the door to get in, all
exactly,
this secret, like with the fear of being like arrested.
right. And that was like completely valid and a thing. And I think media has done a pretty good job like communicating a lot of these. There's really between like movies and documentaries about it, or people like you having podcasts, like there are ways for younger people to learn about this stuff. But if you're kind of closed off to the idea of befriending older men sexually or not sexually, it's really hard to pass that forward. And obviously like they're the 55 plus crowd, I guess, like a lot of them did not live through the 80s. A lot of them never came out for
Yeah.
whatever reason, maybe still aren't out. So there is this sort of like, here's this group that is smaller than it probably should have been, that is still clearly participating in LGBT life. And I think I'm like, I think about it. I'm like, oh my God, when I'm 55, there's going to be like so many daddies. Like, I don't know what that's going to be like. It's going to be fascinating of like, oh, think about how many gay men there are in their 20s right now, or just people in the LGBTQ community in general. We're all going to be 55
Well,
one day.
I think
Like,
that's so important
where's the
for
space for us?
yeah, I feel like that's so important for also like guys who are becoming a daddy. Like I was saying the other day, like I was an accidental bear in my 30s, but now I'm like accidental
Uh-huh.
daddy just because like my appearance and my age. And I think it's good for us. I was gonna say them, but I need to consider myself part of that category. For us to hear this conversation about daddies because there's such a stigma about getting older, and there's like so much work that needs to be done about like mental health with men and aging, and like the suicide statistics and percentages about men who are committed suicide at this certain age. So I feel like it's really positive to hear these conversations about daddies and feeling sort of like desired, and even just part of the conversation is like a positive thing for the community. To hear, it's fun to like as younger people to hear that like you can grow up and be badass and do cool stuff still and be desired. And then it's cool for dads to hear I am part of this conversation, I am desired, and I'm sort of maybe cool right now, like cool right now, I'm
Yeah,
having a
absolutely.
moment.
Yes.
And I think that can only
Dads.
be good for
Yeah.
people's mental health, including my
That makes
own.
perfect. No, that makes perfect sense. And like, yes, and I'd say there are probably some places where like it's more than others. So like, for example, I knew when I was coming out from being on the internet, like Fort Lauderdale and Palm Springs were like the places for daddies.
Yeah,
They are also just like
places of
retirement
money.
communities in general. Well, they're just like they're retirement communities for like
Yeah,
everyone, even straight people, sure. But like, and I was like, oh, like that's fascinating that if I go to like one of these two places, there's going to be just like a epicenter of older gay men, which is still true. But then even
sign me
like,
up.
right. But even in like living in DC, I've spent time in New York, I've been to, like Provincetown, whatever. Like there are daddies in all these places. Like I said, like doing the same stuff that the younger guys are doing. And in my opinion, looking just as hot as anyone. So
Tell us, Jordan. Don't be shy. Tell us, Jordan.
there are these places of like, okay, these are really hot daddies all hanging out in these few places. And I would like to think that they do very well with younger guys. I know when I'm there, I make sure that something happens.
Jordan, are you
But like
single?
that's
Jordan, you tell me.
no,
Are you single?
I'm not single.
Okay. Are you
I
open?
am.
Jordan,
I did find it after a long time of being single, I did find a daddy who
Jordan, but are you like in a monogamous relationship?
no, I am not.
I know. I'm so sorry. I asked the questions. I go
No, those are
there.
good questions.
I just want to
I'd
know
say
because
we're in
people are
a
gonna.
like, and this is like I think something that every gay person kind of like learns as they come out. It's like, oh, like first I didn't even know like non-monogamy existed,
Right.
and then once I learned that, I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like I don't know how I feel about that. And then I learned like, oh, there's like obviously there's a lot of levels to it.
Right.
Like I know people who are in full like polyamory where you can have multiple partners and then a core partner and that. And I also is going to take you on a tangent now that I'm thinking about it.
No, I
Like,
am all about the
yeah,
tangent. People know I can't stay focused, but
okay.
I know people are going to watch this, and the most comments are people's on physicality, and people are going to look at you and they're like, I just want to rub his chin. I just want to like give him a hug. And so I know I'm just doing this for the people. Jordan, tell me about you and your relationship
Okay.
and
I'll talk
keep
about mine,
going.
then I'll go on my tangent. So for my real,
Oh, I
and well,
want
this
to,
kind of like well, this I will say learning about all this like led me to my relationship where I am now. But okay, I'll say like for me and my
put it
partner,
in, put it
for me
in.
for us, we're not monogamous, but I'd say when we do play with other people, it's very communicated. So
Yeah.
like we spend a bit of time long distance before we started living together in different cities, and it would be a like, hey, here's someone who I've hooked up with a dozen times over the years. Can I hook up with them? Or I'm going to hook up with them. Like just overly
Mm-hmm.
communicating those types of things, especially like I'll travel with my friends separately from him traveling with his friends because we generally like to do different things that way. And like that'll be a time where it's like, okay, I'm going to go do this thing. I'm going to tell you about it. We're going to communicate about it. And that makes sure that everyone's feelings are
Like no
acknowledged, is how I like to
surprises.
think about it.
Like
No surprises.
yeah,
Yeah.
sort of.
We also, and this is like a message for the daddies of the world. We do invite other daddies to join, and I enjoy that a lot.
Daddy on, daddy on. Wait, what would you call yourself?
I say like I'm
You
a
don't have to call
boy.
yourself. What?
No,
A
I
boy?
would. I'm like, I'm not, well, I'm not a twink. I don't want to be a
I
twink. No
look at you and
offense to
see
twinks.
otter, but these are just, you can't judge a
Yeah,
book by a
I
cover. But
like
I
feel
see you and I
like
see otter.
I never really felt otter.
Okay, okay. I'm
Like,
here for it.
I honestly think I'm like still a twunk of like a twink who like put on a little muscle and grew a beard. Because I was like a full twink 10 years ago. Like did not have any hair
Oh,
naturally and didn't have a
buddy.
beard. And then I grew a beard and I got like a fair amount of chest
Yeah,
hair,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But I don't feel like super hairy. Like I don't think of myself that
Right.
way.
Not yet.
I'd say I'm just like, I know, and then obviously like I don't know what I'm gonna be like when I'm a daddy. Like it's gonna happen one day.
Dude.
I honestly like I'm not afraid because like I just was on my soapbox about it's aging is a
But
fun and
but
exciting
it's
thing.
you could be
But
so
also I'm like,
pro
oh my
something,
God.
but also have your own insecurities about it. Like for example, I love men with hairy shoulders and backs, but I hate it on myself. So
Sure. I don't blame you, yeah.
you can be encouraging age, but
I
then
totally get
when
that.
it's your own personal story, you're like, "Ooh, I'm suffering from these things that I'm preaching."
I'm most excited for like this is so specific to me when there's daddies who I'm into who only like daddies, and I'm like, okay, they are allowed to only like daddies. I like cannot like it's the same thing with me and younger guys. Like I cannot tell them what they should and should not like. But one day I'm gonna be a daddy, and maybe then I'll be in. Like that's what I'm most excited for.
Dude, I love
For the
that. That's
daddy on
just
daddy community,
honesty.
like I am ready for that. So
Yeah,
in
but I love
in a
that.
few decades.
I really get people to confess and share things when I talk to them. So just you're under my spell right now.
That's
So
good. You're good at that. Can I go on my tangent about
yes,
open
I was going to say
relationships?
yes, baby. Yes, baby girl. So
Sure.
I don't
Yeah.
know where that came from. Yes, I want to
Um,
hear your tangent.
and this is something that I feel like a lot of gay men like learn as they get more into the community of like, okay, wow, like open relationships exist. That was like my own like understanding. Okay, within open relationships, there's so many different types. I'd say someone like mine is probably at the like more conservative end of the spectrum of like really communicating stuff. Like we live together right now. I we have apps. I have Daddy Hunt for obviously, and we have apps, but like really just for like sexting with someone or making
Yeah.
sure like we both invested a lot of time and energy in our. I've been on Scruff for a decade. Like I don't want to lose that part of
Same.
my social. At this point, it's like social media for me
Yeah.
basically.
Instagram, Facebook, Scruff,
So
Sniffy is Daddy Hunt.
right, and yes, you have the whole gambit. So that's like so we still have apps, but like day to day living together, like no, we're not we're not going out of our way to meet new people when we're traveling or if we're traveling separately. And like if I see a super hot daddy at a party and he's not there, and I'm gonna text him and say like, hey, this is
You
happening.
you need to
Maybe
ask
it's
for
like
permission.
no, it'd be like
That's a little
no, it's not. No, it's like if it's 1 in the morning and I know he's asleep, I'm gonna say, "Hey, I'm doing this."
okay.
Like just to be like, you're still involved in my sexual world. Does that make sense?
Also a safety net, because what if that stud chops you up in pieces and puts you under his bed in a box? Your
I've been
husband
in
needs to
some
know
like
your last
really
location.
don't. This is like stuff I don't tell people. Well, maybe I tell people
Okay.
for like a bar, like it's like a party story,
You're
but
into snuff films.
not in this domain. No,
Okay.
I've been in like I've woken up places and like I've been like, oh my God, probably should not have been here. Like with whether it's like a weird situation or like,
Oh.
oh, I didn't realize there was like other people in this room when I like went home with this guy. Like stuff like that happened. I'm like, there's like a lot going on here. So yes, with that being said, like I like him knowing that that's what I'm doing. And like for us, it makes it almost more of a like we're doing these things separately, but we're kind of making it within our relationship together.
That
Hopefully that makes
if that
sense.
work, yeah, if that works
Yeah.
for you, and that's yeah, my arrangement in my marriage is completely different. So like if that
Yeah,
is
what's
what you
yours?
guys talk about, mine's really simple. We're open and we just don't want to hear about each other's escapades. A lot of people want to know details. We do it. We don't want to hear about it. Be safe and make good choices and come home. And I still don't want to hear about it.
That's cool too. I don't blame
And
you.
it's both of us. Like because I tend
Yeah.
to sometimes be jealous, even though I know jealousy is not a good thing. And it's just a weird, tricky thing because we also are sort of attracted to the same people. We had a
Mm, interesting.
Oh my God, my husband told me not to talk about him on this, but we tried threesomes. We did one threesome in P Town. It was hot, and we decided it wasn't for us. So
Okay.
that was our attempt to like be play together. We
Yeah.
tried it. It was hot, but afterwards we're like, let's not do that again. Anyway, so that's it. That's my open
Yeah,
relationship. Like we've been married for God 11 years, together for 18 years.
that's
So
amazing.
it's working.
And you're keeping it simple.
Yeah.
On that point about threesomes, I feel like something else that's becoming more popular, and this also just may be like what I see in my life, are daddies who have been together for a while, 18, 20,
Mhm.
30 years, bringing in a third in either an informal or formal way. And I feel like for me, especially like when I was super single a few years ago, and I was like, and couldn't find anyone really that I, for me, there was so many married or very
Mm.
committed daddies. I was like, oh, like, of course, like, or this is like the worst in my world, the worst thing ever. I'd be at a bar and I'd like, oh, there's like a
Oh,
really hot daddy over there. I'll go and talk to them. Maybe we even make out. He's like, I'm like, so like, can I go home with you? And he's like, oh, like,
this is my husband.
I'm sorry, I have a partner. I'm like, oh my God, like, you just
Did
ruined
you
my
want to know
night.
that ahead of time?
No, I didn't want to know that ahead of time. Maybe, I don't
Or
know.
would have stopped you? Like if you were like, just so you know, my husband's over
I
there
did.
sucking.
I
My
was
husband's over there blowing someone in the bathroom. You want to make out?
That's fine. At least it's like upfront. I don't know. I'm thinking of now another story, like a real story. I was at the Eagle in New York. It was like a Sunday afternoon. I was not sober and I was
Uh-huh.
having
What
an
then? What?
amazing time with I was having time with this guy
Then what?
and I was like falling in love and I was like, "Are you single?" He's like, "No." And I was like, and I just was like, and I was like, "Bye." I didn't
You
even
felt
want to make out with him.
deflated.
I probably should have just stayed and hung out with him. Like, who cares? Like, it's very much, and this is the point of I'm thinking of what year that was, and I was like so single and was like, I need
Yeah.
to start dating someone, which like ebbs and flows obviously for everyone and how they feel. But anyway, going back to like daddies with a third, I've been seeing a lot of that in the
Mhm.
wild, and sometimes it's just like,
Oh.
yes, sometimes it's just like, oh, like we're gonna have you for a weekend just for fun, and it's like fun for everyone, no strings, like
Ah.
everyone enjoys what they enjoy about it. And then other times like it's like full on like moving in together, or like maybe the boy is like dating one of the daddies, but the daddy has a husband,
I see
and
that
it's
a
all,
lot as well. I think Dan Savage and his husband,
yeah,
they have
good
like an
example.
extra. I
Hmm.
interviewed Dan Savage's husband a couple years ago when he was doing something with Tom of Finland, and I think
Hmm.
they have
He is
a
the face,
something.
as he's the face of Tom of Finland.
Yeah, so he has like I think one of them has a boyfriend, and another couple of
Yes.
mine in friends of mine from years in Palm Springs. I think they're married and together and always live together, but they each have boyfriends.
Yeah. Which like I don't know how comfortable I'd be. I think I'd have to like be in the
Ooh,
moment to like
I'm not great at sharing.
on paper for me, I think the boy is the winner because you basically get
Yeah,
like
well,
all this attention and
unless
you're like entering a stable relationship ideally.
unless the boy, yeah, that's about communication. It has to be upfront because listen, that boy is just could feel used, like he's being the toy for the two dads, but depends on the arrangement and it's specific to each arrangement. Yeah,
And
but
I
I
feel
feel like
like
the boy could be used.
sometimes the boy may like that.
The boy may just feel like this used condom just like thrown in the toilet, wasted. But do people even use condoms anymore? Let's face it.
Okay, good
For later.
segue. Good, no, it's a good segue. Well, I like alluded to like knowing guys who lived through the 80s and that experience, and knowing guys who are undetectable and positive now who live completely normal lives. And I think that's still a stigma for a lot of younger guys who like have only heard very like straight media about HIV and straight media about the 80s and what really happened and who and what parties were involved to actually make it take on a life of its own without government support. And then also how strong the community was. Like I'm still to this day learning like things that happened that I'm like that the with that the LGBTQ community coming together around HIV in the 80s and how
Yeah.
strong they were at organizing. This is like before social media, before internet, before like I it's like wow, how much easier is it today to actually like get our points across? But then it was, like looking at stuff that happened in DC. Like I'm like that must have taken so much effort and energy to get all those people organized
Yeah.
when also there weren't that many people out, at least compared to today. So yeah, and I think I came out like right around when prep was really becoming
Mm.
mainstream. I'm sure it was around before that, but I was coming out when like I like my first time having it was I was living in LA. I was 19 or 20, and it was at the LA LGBT Center because I was afraid to go through my insurance because I was on my parents'
Right.
insurance, and it
That's
was
like,
all, yeah. And I was here I am, lucky enough to have like still be on my parents' insurance, and I'm still like, oh well, if I go on this, they're gonna find
it's
out, and I'm
gonna
gonna have to
give them an
explain
alert.
it,
Yeah.
whatever. And I was out at that point. I still like didn't feel like going that next hurdle of being like, here's something I'm doing as a precaution for myself.
Which is
So when I
such a
went
positive
there,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, I went there and my income was low enough where I was like, I had it for free, which is great.
I'm
And those
poor.
things
Can I get some?
obviously, what was that?
You're like, I am poor. Can I get some prep and
Exactly.
a loaf? Can I get some prep and a loaf of bread and a block of
Right.
cheese? Thank you. Thank you.
And now prep is so like
Yeah.
duh, you know, and I feel like back then it was so like I remember also like one of my favorite shows when I was coming out was Looking on HBO.
I was on 2
And
episodes of Looking. You probably want
you
my
were.
autograph. I was an extra. I was living in San Francisco while it was filmed, and I was doing a lot more social media stuff. So I hung out in the set of Looking for a couple days. And I'm only saying this because, like, when I hear Looking, I feel very attached
You
to it, whether
should.
people like it or not. I was in a Halloween episode and a bar episode, and you see me
Okay.
in twice. I'm just
I
like,
love the I personally love the Halloween episode.
I was.
I've rewatched it recently, which is why I have all these things fresh in my head. I've
But you know
rewatched it
what's
probably like
funny about the Halloween
in the
episode? I
winter.
wasn't dressed like sexy. I was dressed as like a grandma werewolf. So I had
Oh,
this
that's
like big
amazing. Okay,
momo
I'm gonna
on
rewatch that
and
episode tonight
makeup
and look
and
for
weird
you.
glasses. Anyhow,
Well, I think that show, it's like
I did.
it aged like interestingly is like I think like the best verb. Like there's the whole episode talking about prep and how some characters think that being on prep is a sign that you're so
A slut.
promiscuous
Yeah.
and irresponsible was like really the crux of it. And then others characters saying like, who cares? You could be irresponsible, promiscuous, or you could just be a normal person and just want that extra protection. And I
Yeah.
feel like that is like that conversation is irrelevant now, which is great. I think the whole mood around that has shifted. And about people being undetectable is something that I had no idea existed until I was
It's
living
just
in DC
it all
and was
boils
around
back to
people who were,
education. Yeah, it
yeah,
just boils back to being education. Yeah. You know
so
what?
much to think about.
I know we are. I should name this tangents. I'm going to circle back to Daddy Hunt in a second. But you know
Okay.
what? I don't even want to talk about this, but I just want to. I don't know if you ever even was aware. And the 90s, when HIV was much more prevalent and people were still dying from HIV complications, there were parties for people to purposefully get infected. There's like, I know this sounds crazy, but there were these things, Google it, called bug chasing parties in the 90s.
I have heard of bug chasers as like a thing. I did not know there
People
was
were
events.
people were purposely going to parties with the intention of becoming HIV positive. That's a whole conversation on the side, but that was something that was very true in the 90s. I lived all through the 90s from like 92 to 98 and then on afterwards. That was where I lived in San Francisco. So there were these parties. I know that was the conversation stopper. You're like, oh, but that truly was a thing for a hot moment. People were intentionally trying to get it because I don't know what the reasons were, because they felt guilt. There were even people that felt at times there was people that were getting better healthcare if they were HIV positive. It was all crazy thinking. But
That, yeah. Well,
let's bring this back to
I'm
Daddy Hunt.
glad I'm okay. I want to end that on like a nice note though, of
Yeah.
like the how many people are undetectable now, how the education around what being undetectable means has gotten so much
Yeah.
better, how accessible prep is. I hope that resources like I had 10 years ago are still like as strong with everything happening in the government. I'm sure that was a government funded prep that I got.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping all that stuff can kind of weather the storm, but at least there is a changing conversation around what that means. And then ideally the stigma kind of goes away with that, just like everything else. So,
Yeah, I saw an article the other day. I can't quote anything, but like they actually extracted HIV from a cell. I don't know. I like the fact that like it's not as huge as a conversation, but it's still advancing. I saw an article the other day. They extracted HIV from a cell, but I'm not a scientist.
no, me neither. Nor do I really want to be.
So Daddy Hunt,
Yes.
moving forward, what do you see Daddy Hunt changing, being,
Yeah.
like influencing?
Yeah.
Just does that? I'm gonna honestly, I don't have Daddy Hunt app right now because sometimes I waste too much time on apps, and I feel like it'd be another pool of men to just flirt with and then ghost.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do.
Oh,
But is that they do geolocating, right?
yes.
Do
So
they have like events and parties and hookup spots? I feel like that's the newest thing that's happening where like maybe
Hmm.
You don't want to hook up one on one, but you're like, hey, I'm going to be at this public
Like
library
sniffy
bath.
style.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
out of curiosity, like the changing face of apps,
Sure.
and how is
So
Daddy staying
where
part of it?
things stand now, this is July 2025. So a lot of work's being done on the actual user experience of Daddy Hunt. Say like Scruff and Grinder have invested millions and millions and millions of dollars with all sorts of different parties at play to give them
Mhm.
money in one way, shape, or form to make their apps like extremely advanced. I think we all have seen how these apps have gone from like really simple and sometimes
Yeah,
more user friendly to like these very complicated kind of a world of their own. So Daddy Hunt is not getting the same investment that those apps have. I think everyone could kind of understand that. But trying to at least compete in a way where we're going to make a sleeker, faster, more fun user experience. There's like a lot of back end changes that I get told, and I'm like, oh, cool. I believe that that's a good
right.
thing, kind of stuff from people who are very good at that stuff. So that stuff's all in the works and will like slowly be rolled out over the course of the next few months. And then ideally, users see a lot of changes. Where I have come into play on that is advising on how to make our profiles better, how to ask the right questions that really guide you to your right profile. At the end of the day, Daddy Hunt is more of a dating app than a hookup app. That's always kind of been the mantra. But at the
Sure.
same time, it still has the features of the other apps of here's a grid of the guys closest to you,
Right.
the filters to really get to the specific stuff, try to bridge the world between both. But at the end of the day, keeping it as a community for at its core as who like older guys and older guys who like anyone who likes older guys, and basically building that community. So where I come into play for a lot of that is having conversations with people like you, making sure that our social media is really relatable. I think that's like a lot
Yeah.
of the
Because there's so much,
struggle.
so much of it. You
Yeah.
have to find like a niche, which is Daddy is a perfect niche because there is so much out there. You have to have a little bit of a niche, which is Daddy. Oh my God, did you just freeze? Wait, you froze. Now you're back.
Am I
I think
back?
you're unfreezing. Oh,
Okay,
now
good. I'm
you're
good now.
back.
Okay. I missed what you said. I'm sorry. Daddies are niche.
Oh, because you were talking about how you fit in with social media and making it sort of
Right.
like user friendly and enjoyable. I was just saying there's so much out there. You have to be niche or you're just going to be like avalanche under a pile of like
Yeah. And I
apps and
think,
things
right.
and image. It has to be fast and appealing and like,
I think like putting together for at least like who I partner with for content and stuff, guys who are relatable is like the main thing, and that can come in 1,000 different ways. But really, like identifying what the look and feel of Daddy is, was, will be, and putting together that sort of community where it's not just like I think if you scroll back in social media, the imagery of Daddy was like muscle guys at a circuit party who happened to be 45. Which,
right, right,
yes, sure, that exists, but that is not what, like, first of all, it's not what I'm into as like the person
right.
designing this stuff, but also not really what the app is made for. Like, that is, yes, those are daddies, but really this is just about like creating a large swath of older guys who can see themselves in the people that we're portraying on social media, and then guys who are into that in whatever way, shape, or form, and can kind of know that they can come to this app and find that. And I'd say, unlike Grinder, you can be in the middle of nowhere and there's still probably someone a mile away.
Yeah,
By nature, there just isn't going to be that for
sure.
something that's already niche. So then trying to focus it in different places. So like this weekend in
These
Rehoboth
events were
is
perfect for
yeah.
people to like,
This weekend in Rehoboth is really like the first one I've done and the first one in a
because then people
while,
can
probably since
plan a little bit. If you're in rural
probably since
areas and you can't just
COVID.
like hop on and find someone on your same block, you can learn about this event and then travel there and make arrangements.
Yeah. Yeah. Daddy Hunt did a lot of events in like the 2010s. I remember even being at like New York Pride and they were sponsoring one of the parties and stuff, but not nearly at the same volume that like if you go to anything now, it's the Scruff pool party, then the Grinder pool party, then the Scruff club, then the Grinder club, like which is and the Sniffies is there, which is great. Like I'm very happy that these apps are also like investing in the community because a complaint everyone says about apps is like it's taking away from our
Oh,
actual
community in
in-person.
person.
Right. We're just sitting on our phone. So, okay, I like that that those apps do have the money and time to reinvest in the community. So, yes, finding our ways to do that on that does still fit in with our niche that, obviously the the parties and the events I want to tailor to who the app is catering for. But finding more ways to do that moving forward, I think would be really great. Not only to build the app community, but also to say like, okay, if I'm in X city on this weekend, like what would I want to go to as someone
Yes.
who's gonna seek out the daddies anyway? Like, so for example, like if I'm in a certain city and I want to meet someone, meet a daddy, like I would then research which bar I would want to go to do that, which is
100%.
usually 0 or 1 per city.
Yeah.
But if we could be maybe an intermediary to either how you were
Yeah.
saying, like put it on the app and have the sort of guide, or even be the ones to kind of facilitate those events, that'd be great. Like, I don't know, I when I was living in LA, like you'd go to Silver Lake to meet daddies,
Yeah.
kinda. You go to Revolver on
Yeah.
Santa Monica Boulevard, kinda. But like, there wasn't a like
There
daddy
were
bar per
there were like
se.
bear or daddy events.
There, right? There were
Sprinkle.
events for
You need to
it.
have like destination daddy. That's what I like about these events. Have it just be
Okay,
like,
maybe that's
because
our new
I
project,
know I do love the idea of
sponsored by
destination.
Accidental Bear
Yeah,
Podcast.
I do love destination daddy because like if you want to meet in person, if you don't want to do the apps, or if you're scared to
Yeah,
meet in the apps, you can meet in public at these
right.
places and you could pop into this city and be like destination daddy. Where
Or it's why people like go to Bear Week. Like I went to P Town Bear Week 3 years in a row. This is the first year I didn't go in a while. And I like bears, but I really like daddies more than that. And
what
also
about
the
daddy
bear,
bears?
well, yes, of course. That's all. That's the
You're
best of
like,
everything.
duh, duh.
But like when my first time at Bear Week, I was like, it's Bear Week. Yes, there's a lot of bears, but it's also like it's Daddy Week. Like a
Hmm.
lot of the daddies choose to come this week because they're the most comfortable around the bear community, even if they don't identify as a
Daddies
bear.
are everywhere.
They are everywhere. And
Target,
it's
Home Depot, Safeway,
yes, that too.
Vons.
And like I said, there's gonna be more and more like I can't even visualize what it's gonna be like when me and all my friends are daddies, and there's also like so many of us compared to how
Oh
many
my God.
daddies
You're gonna be
there
a
are
hot
today.
daddy. You're gonna be a hot daddy. I
Thanks.
don't
I
want
don't
to
know.
be like,
I don't know what I'm gonna be like or
no, you're gonna be
do.
freaking hot. I have a type.
My partner does warn me about that. He's like, you're gonna be a daddy one day, and I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm
I
like,
hope you have
I
like
don't
a
know
gray
either.
patch just sprouts out there and you're gonna hate it probably internally. I just hope you have a gray patch and then just you look. This is gonna sound corny. You look very similar to my husband. Just 20
Okay.
years, add 20 years, and that's hot. So call me in 20 years.
Okay. I'll
I
find
mean,
you then.
if you want to.
Yes. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, I have to live by my own words. I also like about aging, yes, but also like something that when I speak to my friends who may be in their late 30s or early 40s, I'm like, no, like guys want you to embrace your daddy side. And whether that's letting your hair gray without dyeing it or
Yeah.
like dyeing it in like a very natural way, like
Yeah.
something that
Like,
works
do
for you.
you?
But like, do you, but like, still embrace the fact that you're like 45, let's say, and like you will get the attention that you still want one way or another. And just being able to be comfortable in your skin is
I
so
think,
clear when you're like meeting someone, and it
yeah, I
really
think
makes a
right
difference.
along with that is just like owning yourself, but like being confident. I think like end with like just being like confidence and sexy,
Yes,
like owning what you have, whether it's like
exactly.
belly weight, hair loss, hair color change, wrinkles. It's like confidence is sexy, like at whatever age.
Yeah, and someone's gonna love it.
Oh shit. You know what? We've talked for an hour. I had questions, but I always go on tangents. I was gonna bring up Ozzy Osbourne because my daddies growing up that I looked up to were
Right.
like sexy, hot, very obscure, not very gay role model here. Ozzy Osbourne died. Hulk Hogan died this morning, but that asshole became a MAGA person at the end, which
Hmm.
sucked. Because I had Hulk Hogan dolls and I had other action figure wrestlers, and I would make them like do 69 when I was a kid. I didn't know what 69 meant, but like Hulk
But you
Hogan,
knew
you are
it.
my hero, and then you turn MAGA. But we're not even gonna go there because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just wanted to get to know you and
Yeah,
your relationship with Daddy Hunt and the future of
totally.
Daddy Hunt. And I feel like this is the beginning of a conversation.
Yes.
Clearly, I can talk and talk.
And there's so much to talk about in this space. It really, yes, it's like a lot of like sociological hypotheses, but it also is like relevant to all of our lives. So, yes, thank you for letting me kind of say what's new for Daddy Hump, but then also tell my story along with it. So, I
No,
appreciate
that's
that.
I just want to like get to know people. I like when
Yeah.
especially I'm interviewing some people this week that have big time like media personalities, and I just like to like, I see that, I see it online, I see how they're presented online, but I just like to like crack their head open and like spelunk down into their brain and their heart
So
and their
good.
soul and get to know them. And so I
Yeah.
don't know, I feel like I have the ability to make people like confess things, which sometimes they have regretted, and be like, please, could you edit that out? But I don't know. It's just good to get to know
It's
you,
a good
and then
skill. Yeah,
your relationship with Daddy Hunt, and then let's just keep talking, and we'll talk again. And
totally.
what's the best place to keep up with everything Daddy Hunt?
Everything Daddy Hunt, it's at Daddy Hunt app on Instagram and on TikTok. And then it's at Daddy Hunt, just at Daddy Hunt on Twitter.
And does the Daddy Hunt podcast have a special name, or is it just Daddy Hunt podcast?
I've been calling it Talking with Daddy. I just
Okay.
started. Yeah.
Oh,
There's no like, I mean, so those are on YouTube. I should have said our YouTube as well. Our YouTube's also at Daddy Hunt. Let me actually double check before while I'm talking.
that's okay.
Um,
I can
just
put
want to make
links
sure I get
below
the
everything.
thing right. So the our full length ones are on YouTube. Those are like my full conversation with David Pevner, who's a very recognizable daddy. Jim Newman and I did one a few months ago. And those are on YouTube. And then the little clips that are the ones I kind of push out more often are on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah, I like that. Some people are. I don't just listen to a lot of podcasts. I
Yeah.
like to watch, which I think makes it not a podcast because if it's a video. But I like to watch.
Yeah.
I like. This is why I want to do more of these in person, because I think they're fun in person as well. But like, people, this country's so big, I can't be in person. But I like to watch them. So
Yeah.
I usually watched the Daddy Hunt clips and stuff on YouTube. I don't know. I don't listen to as many podcasts as I actually do watch podcasts. So
Totally.
we'll push links below.
Yeah.
And tell your
Cool.
partner, I say, hey, what's up? Does he have a
I will.
name?
His name's Daniel.
Daniel, that's my dad's name.
That is something that may happen if you're meeting daddies. You may find a name that you didn't really mean to come
Right.
across.
That could be a trigger or a
Yeah.
plus.
Or
Who
good or
knows?
plus.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, have a great
This is fun.
rest of your. Let's keep
Yes.
talking, and we'll talk soon. All right. Bye.